Okay, everybody, so I got the GoPro chest phone holder thing on, so you can see. Got my hands right here. I'm gonna cut something. Now, most of you who are subscribed to my channel have seen my videos, know that I'm not your conventional YouTuber. You know, I don't spend a lot of time editing. Most of my videos usually drag on from beginning to end. So this is just a new contraption I have to use. Now, so you might think, like, is this my niche? Is this something I'm trying to do, cook and make videos about topics that I want to share? Really, the only reason I'm cooking is because it's just something I don't want to waste any time, you know? While I'm cooking, I could be making a video. I don't want to take the time to just make a video and do nothing else. Maybe one day you'll see me washing the car. Maybe one day you'll see me cleaning something outside. Sometimes you guys have seen me in my car just, you know, during a break, recording a video. But it's not necessarily like a niche. It's just that, you know, I don't have a lot of time to do these videos. And most of the time, the main topic I want to do is just to talk. This way you guys can share your opinions. And I'll try to pick opinions that are worth talking about. In this case, I'm going to review a movie series, a found footage movie series that I've personally, me and my wife have been watching for, I could say maybe the past 8 years since it's come out, or maybe 9 years at this point, because they do have they have eight movies so far, and it's called the Blackwell Ghost. So I'm gonna give you a brief look of what it looks like. Grab my iPad right here. Usually I have it. So click on this. Okay. So this here is a Blackwell Ghost. It looks like this. You're gonna find it on Amazon Prime. I don't know if any other streaming has it, but the reason I'm gonna pick this movie is because it's a really chill movie. Oh look, it's also on Tubi and has other platforms as well. But I mainly watch it on Amazon Prime, and you have all 8 of them there. So I'm gonna discuss each one briefly. I'm not gonna go too much into detail. I'm just gonna give you a brief overview to get you interested in watching the movie. So that's it right there, Blackwell Ghost. And we're gonna talk about it today. Okay, so same time I'm gonna be cooking here. We got our strainer with our vegetables, some pre-cut vegetables. We got here the onions. We got our ground beef there cooking. I personally like onions on my food, so gonna cut these up, make sure we have enough. So the Blackwell Ghost. So there was a point when me and my wife would basically watch a lot of found footage because it's unique, you know. I mean, there's movies like Paranormal Activity, which is found footage. Back then, nobody knew if it was real or not. And to be honest, you know, just out of fun, we actually visited the Paranormal Activity house. And in the movie, it looks pretty big, the house. But in reality, it's a pretty small house. We visited it. It had the address online. We live, you know, it wasn't that far of a drive. The place is located in San Diego. So, no, that's not one of our favorite found footage movies, just to start off. You know, we did see all of them, but there are a lot of really good found footage, a lot of independent film type found footage out there that are pretty good. So today I'm going to discuss the Blackwell Ghost in different points of view. So let's start it off. So the Blackwell Ghost, basically it's about a film. I don't know what you'll call them, but they make films. The guy he makes his own movies. He kind of seems like a really chill guy. He's kind of like the friend that kind of, you know, drinks and all he does is like lounge around type of guy, like your everyday guy kind of guy. So he's not a ghost hunter. He starts off as making movies, but then he gets the idea of investigating ghost sightings and making videos out of that. So what's interesting is that he's just a normal Joe. You know, he's not somebody special that you know, he's not a psychic, not a medium. He doesn't have a ghost team or anything. You know, he's just some dude that thought, you know, investigating ghosts might be pretty interesting. So when you watch it, you're watching somebody that kind of, you could say, kind of relates to all of us. Very relatable person. So he learns about this one place, where it's about I guess the houses belong to the Blackwell family, and they used to there was a big crime behind it. So I guess Mrs. Blackwell, the main title person there, she was a murderer, a killer. She used to I guess she used to abduct children, murder them. So, you know, it does have a topic. It does have its suspense to it. It does have its mystery, you know. So he decides to stay in that house because the owner of the house said that he would experience paranormal activity there. He would experience things happening, the stuff moving, knocking, and everything. So the first movie is basically just him learning about this about this house. Okay, throw this away. And again, pardon me if I'm all over the place with this. You know, most of you know me on these videos, know that I tend to freestyle a lot of what I say. So I basically talk to you guys like I was having a normal conversation with anybody else. So the first Blackwell movie, him and his wife go stay at this house. So he sets up cameras. He sets up like the kind of like the Blink style cameras all over the rooms and everything, you know, to see if he catches some paranormal activity. So he stays there, and I think on the first night, he already starts experiencing, you know, knocking, footsteps, faucets turning on and off, you know, the stove being turned on, things like that, doors being opened to like the basement, you know, your standard paranormal activity type of stuff. The thing about this movie is that the guy in the movie, the actor Clay Turner, he does a really good job at making it fun. He makes a situation fun. So basically, it's pretty comedic, but not in a silly way. So just imagine like you and your buddies decide to stay in a haunted house, and the house is actually haunted, but some of your buddies have a sense of humor. That's basically what it is. It's just some guy with a sense of humor. You know, at first he's skeptical on what he's experiencing, but then realizes that the place is haunted. So once he figures out the place is haunted, he sets up more cameras. He wants to make sure to catch everything. And yeah, he does catch quite a few paranormal activity. Things begin to escalate, but escalate in a way that they're not in danger, but that just a lot of activity is happening. So like I said, what makes it interesting is that the guy is very relatable. And in the first movie, nothing really happens. I mean, they experience the ghost. He gives a brief summary of what had happened, kind of like a documentary. And then, well, the movie ends. So then on the second movie, he goes back to the house by himself. So he stays there by himself this time. And there's more interaction with the Blackwell ghost. So it seems like the spirits are trying to communicate with him more. He starts to find out where she would hide, I guess, the trophies of the children. In this case, like I said, spoiler alert, the trophies are the teeth of the children, where he had them stored away somewhere. She had them stored away somewhere, I think, on the outside of the yard. There's like a sewer well involved because it's an old house. So this time he experiences more paranormal activity, and he finds out more to the mystery behind the Blackwell ghost. So basically, at the end of the second movie, you realize that this ghost is not trying to hurt him, but just trying to tell him her story. So, and again, this is like a regular guy. And after, once you reach the third movie, you realize that this guy starts to make things more kind of like, if you ever played those puzzle games or those escape room games where they give you a bunch of hints, that's kind of like what's happening. He starts to find out a lot of, gets a lot of hints on finding out mysteries. And a lot of times he does get help from the ghosts. So that's pretty interesting. That's what I find interesting is that instead of the ghost really haunting him, they're trying to communicate with him. It's just that it makes you feel like the ghosts really don't know how to communicate with him. So a lot of times they spook him, they scare him. He tends to think the ghosts are violent sometimes, but they're not. So the second one, he basically closed the chapter on the Blackwell Ghost. And we move on to another chapter where he is... now he's going to go to somewhere in Florida in the middle of nowhere to the house of a serial killer. And he learned that the serial killer, I think he abducted and killed, I don't know how many women, maybe it's probably around like 18 women. And a lot of the bodies weren't ever found. So it already becomes like a mystery, a suspense mystery. But again, it's found footage. And again, he still has the same sense of humor. He's a funny guy. So he makes it funny. And throughout the movie, he stays at this one house. And when I say in the middle of nowhere, he is in the middle of nowhere. Like he is, like it's hours away into an area, I guess like a resort. And at that time, nobody is staying there. So you could say that he's like the only human being with a radius of maybe like 2 hours where nobody's around. Kind of hard to believe, but it's somewhere in Florida. Again, this is a fictional movie, but you know, the found footage makes it seem real. And you know, he really convinces you that he's there and he is going through this stuff. You know, you tend to relate to him and you tend to tell yourself, man, if I was there by myself in the middle of nowhere with nobody around me, what would I do? What would I do if like I heard noises? Would I leave? Would I stay there? Would I spend the night? So he does a good job at illustrating what he's doing. So this time, the ghosts of the women that were abducted by the serial killer and killed, they're the ones trying to communicate with him. So in the third one, he's starting to realize that fact. So these ghosts try to they really try to communicate with him. I guess they want to be found, maybe for the sake of the family and everything. So we're supposed to believe that in this movie, we're supposed to believe that ghosts are real, and that these ghosts are, really trying to communicate with him. Now, never once do we think that the main character, he is a psychic or a medium. It's just, it makes it seem like that the ghosts just like him. And you never see the ghosts. Like, it's not like you can see them. It's what they're doing around the home that you realize that they're around. So again, he puts cameras up. He puts motion sensors. He has more tools this time. A speak and say that he leaves there. He uses, I guess, like those. I don't know if you see the movie Insidious 2, where one of the psychics, he uses like words, like dice, in order to communicate with the dead. So he does something similar to that, but it's basically Scrabble pieces. So now I can tell you for a fact, in the Blackwell Ghost from 3 to 8, it's all about this house. It's all about this case, the serial killer, the Lightfoot case. And throughout all these movies, so I'm going to just basically put everything together now. In all these movies, all these ghosts are trying to communicate with him, I guess, so that he can find their bodies. The missing bodies of the people that were killed by the serial killer, the Lightfoot. Forgot his first name, though. Like I said, I've seen this movie so many times, but I do forget the name of the characters, which is good, because if you're gonna watch it, then you're gonna see it for yourself. Now, I do recommend this movie. Oh, before I finish, so during the last two movies, we realize that, again, spoilers coming ahead, that he is being tracked by a serial killer that's also related to the serial killer that abducted these women. So it becomes more interesting, because not only now is he getting messages from the dead, he's also being stalked by a serial killer. Now, this serial killer looks like doesn't want to kill him, but he does want him to solve the case. I guess it's for fame, maybe. I guess it's for ego. But whatever it is, you can see that the serial killer is not really trying to kill the main character, but just lead him to the right direction. So now you have ghosts, you have serial killers, and this guy's just like an average guy. Like, imagine just yourself in this situation with no real experience about about ghosts or ghost hunting. You know, he uses every type of resource he has in order to try to help these help these spirits. So imagine like a real life version of the Sixth Sense, where you could say the boy grows up and he's just basically trying to live his life, and now he's being haunted by all these ghosts, and he's trying to figure out all the mysteries behind it. So it's pretty interesting. Now, given my opinion as a Christian, first of all, we know that ghosts don't exist. So anything that seems like a supernatural presence most likely is a demonic presence. But when you see the movie, you pretend it's fictional. So, you play along. You realize that in this movie, it's not, we're just going to pretend that in this movie, in this universe, that ghosts do exist. And these are the spirits of the ones that were killed by the serial killer. So, you have to believe in this type of stuff, even though we know that ghosts don't exist. When somebody dies, they go to one or two places. They go to heaven or they go to hell. So, but for the sake of the movie, it's very lighthearted. I mean, yeah, sometimes the topics are a bit intense because you realize there is death, there is serial killers, they do talk about finding the bodies, dismembered bodies, things like that, But they don't really show too much of what they're talking about. It really is more story. It's found footage. It's more like a mystery. So, like personally, I played those escape room games, or I played those games where you like they're puzzle games and you try to investigate in order to go to the next level. It's basically like that type of feeling. So if you're into those games, you're into solving a mystery, this is a really good movie. You gotta believe in this movie that ghosts exist in this universe, because in the universe of the movie, in order to enjoy it. So we know in this movie it's not considered demons. It's just considered ghosts, and he's just trying to help them out. He hears them out and he tries to, and then he ends up finding the remains of a lot of these victims. So when he finds the remains, he tells the authorities, and they do their thing, contact the families and so on. But mainly the main character you always see is Clay Turner. He's the main character throughout all these movies. He's the one being stalked by the serial killer. He's the one being approached by the ghosts. And the ghosts use all the resources that he provides to communicate with him. Even through the speak and say, there's times when he's at home and the serial killer is actually in his home, stalking him. And the speak and say is saying danger. So it becomes creepy. And I recommend this movie because it's pretty chill. It's not a gory movie. It's not something that's going to make you feel really uneasy. Once you get through the whole history of why he's doing what he's doing, you realize that the movie is really, really chill. So, I recommend it to anybody. I know horror movies in general are not kid friendly, but this one's not too bad. Like if you have your kids like playing around the house and you're watching the movie, they're not going to get it, because there's going to be a lot of story in this. So, like, again, I recommend you watch the Blackwell Ghost. They're on Amazon Prime. Again, it's found footage. It's a found footage series. They're up to 8 right now, and I think they're going to make a 9. So, can't wait for that. The actor makes it entertaining. Like I said, he becomes very relatable. So, when you watch it, you believe that he is in the situation he's in. And one good thing about a good storyteller, they make you feel like, what would you do in that situation? So, as a Christian, obviously, we don't believe in ghosts. Just gonna repeat that again. I'm gonna repeat it quite a few times. We don't believe in ghosts. So, this movie is obviously, we take it as fiction. I have seen some reviews about this movie where people actually believe that he's actually going through this stuff, because he does make it really believable. And I think this movie is actually in the horror documentary section, but it's not real, it's fictional. But the guy, the actor is pretty funny. I enjoy the comedy he puts into searching for these, for these clues to find, the remains of the victims. And there's times when he becomes pretty heroic. There's times when he has to face tough decisions. But again, yeah, I highly recommend this. If you're looking for something pretty chill to watch, something to watch while your kids are running around, and it's a horror movie, I do recommend, again, I'll say it again, the Blackwell Ghost. Okay, so right now we're making the sauce for the tacos. Now, some of you have seen my previous videos where I talk about should Christians watch horror movies. I mean, there is a saying that says do not watch or partake in detestable things. Do not, you got to protect your eye gates, your ear gates. So this is a horror movie, it does talk about ghosts, so it's not really recommended. But, if you were looking for a movie that's very tame, I would say, that's my son in the background right there. So I would say the Blackwell Ghost is pretty chill. You're not going to get any demonic vibes out of it. You're not, obviously what he's doing is not recommended. Communicating with the dead is not something that, as a Christian, we should be doing. But, it is fairly entertaining. As long as you know that this stuff is fake, there's no ghost, don't be swayed to the wrong direction. I'm pretty sure you can watch this movie and enjoy it. And like I said, if you're planning on watching the Blackwell Ghost, and hopefully I didn't ruin too much for you. That's why I didn't really go too much into detail. So you can see all the things that happen, all this throughout the movie. I didn't mention everything. I just kind of gave you like I guess we would call it like a synopsis of the movie, just like a quick overview. Basically, he starts off as not as a ghost hunter, but just a filmmaker with the idea to capture ghosts, and he succeeds. Not only that, the ghosts seem like they like him and they want to communicate with him, and he ends up helping them out wherever he goes. And not even the serial killer wants to kill him, because he's amused by. He's just amused by how well he solves these mysteries, and he also uses the internet to help him solve the mysteries. He actually puts some of the clues online to get help from his fans, from his forums. So in a way, it's kind of like how sometimes the cops use Reddit, because sometimes some Reddit users have experience in different fields, and they try to solve mysteries, solve unsolved cases. And I've actually seen a few YouTube videos where it talks about how Reddit solved a few murder cases or disappearance cases. It's pretty interesting. So he seems to follow the same idea there, where he uses online groups, chat groups, and everybody chat groups of investigators to help him solve these cases. So he doesn't claim to do everything on his own. He actually uses a lot of help. So, all these little twists and turns is what makes the movie interesting. Maybe next time I'll do a live video when I discuss another movie and you guys can ask me questions. Because I know right now I'm just giving you my overview of the movie. And I tend to, since I don't script these things, I didn't even know I was going to make this video today. I just wanted to try out the new chest gear, And I thought, you know what? While I'm cooking, I was watching the Blackwell Ghost, because it's a really comforting movie. And I decided, I'm just going to do a quick review on it. Well, not quick, it's like 24 minutes already. But I'm going to do a review on this movie so that anybody who's interested in watching a found footage that's pretty decent, it's funny, it is entertaining, maybe for some of you, if you see it more than once, you might get bored. I can actually see these over and over again, only because the movie is a slow burn, and you can still catch things each time you watch it. But yeah, he just makes it so relatable that it's like hanging out with your friends, and all of a sudden you're in a haunted house, and you think, well, you're not a ghost hunter. What are you gonna do? So you use your own logic to try to figure out how to communicate with the ghosts, try to figure out if they're trying to hurt you or not, and so on. So. And if you have a clown in your group, they're going to probably make jokes. And that's what this guy is. He's kind of like a clown. So, yeah, leave your comments. If Now, some of you, if you've seen the Blackwell Ghost, feel free to rate me. I mean, as a YouTuber right now, I kind of give myself like, I'm like 3 out of 10, because I don't really edit too much. I basically just speak until I'm done speaking. And I've heard that some of you do enjoy that because, maybe you're watching this video while you're cooking and you have some time to kill. But yeah, if you're looking for something on Amazon, and I'm gonna drop a few more right now. I mean, there's Bad Ben. That's a bit more, it's a bit more vulgar because the guy cusses a lot, but it's a pretty decent found footage. It's kind of silly after a while. This one, the Blackwell Ghost that I'm talking about, doesn't really get silly. It actually gets more interesting. And then you have other found footage that are on there. For example, Leaving DC is another really good found footage movie. I wish the guy would have made more, but it looks like he's only made that one and another film that's not really horror. And then there's a Hell House, which, just the name itself, you could tell like it's not really Christian at all. But they're already on their 5th installment. And it's actually found footage. The first 4 were found footage. And this new one's going to be actually not found footage. So they're doing something different. But again, look them up. If you have any questions, let me know. And I'm always free to answer them in the comment section. Have a great day.
What about that guy that goes camping for 3 months?
Oh, yeah. My wife is speaking of another movie. I didn't mention right now because I always get the name wrong. I think it's called something like
No sé cómo
in the hollow shells.
I don't know,
But yeah, that's a good movie too. The guy goes camping. He plans to go camping for like 45 days, I believe. And he only lasts. Okay, I don't want to ruin it for you. This one because that one's it's a one-parter found footage. He goes camping to this area and he finds himself in a situation where he just can't get out of. It is horror, and it's really good found footage. It's a slow burn, and then it really picks up at the end. So if you go to you know what? I'm gonna find it for you guys since my wife took the time to mention it. I'm gonna go to my iPad. I'm gonna look for it for you. If you stuck around this long to watch my video, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it. If not, I understand. Sometimes I can go on, but I'm gonna look for it here on Amazon Prime. So here's see, I was watching the Blackwell Ghost 3. So that's the proof that I am watching this stuff. But I want to find for you the other found footage. Now, some of these you have to buy, but we've been watching these for like a long time already that we realize that it's just cheaper to buy them than to keep renting them over and over again. So I'm going to put here hollow, I think it's shells. I'm really trying to spell this out. I'm not even sure I'm gonna find it. Oh, it's the first one. There you go. So it's right here. Survive the hollow shells. So I'll read it for you right here. If you're still here with me, here he goes. Zach Wayland is a survival enthusiast who embarks on a 60-day survival challenge in the hollow shells of Georgia. His primary objective is to find clean, drinkable water, build a shelter, and create a fire. Throughout Zach's survival challenge, he is stalked and harassed by an evil entity. Sounds good to me. It's pretty chill. Me and my wife like it. We have it on our watch list. I'm pretty sure we probably bought this movie because it says play again. Oh yeah, you purchased this because we're probably gonna watch it again. Other than that, guys, if you have any questions, I know these videos tend to drag along. I don't really do a lot of scripting. I know really good YouTubers, they do that. Makes a lot of sense, because, want to make sure to keep your attention. But, in my channel, I talk to you like if you're here with me hanging out and I'm just basically explaining to you a movie. All right, guys. So, well, most of you have seen me make tacos already before, so all these ingredients are going to go inside a taco. Nothing special here. This is not my niche. It's just something that I decided to do while I was making, some tacos. All right, guys. Have a great day or a great night.